Welcome back to another episode of Crescendo, where the journey of self-discovery meets the adventure of entrepreneurship for female founders, entrepreneurs, and small business owners. I'm your host, Rachel Lipchansky, an entrepreneur turned business mentor and strategist, guiding women to build businesses that align with who they are at their core, the positive change they want to see in the world, and the financial security they desire. My guest today is Gila Levitt. She's a Torah marriage and intimacy specialist with 20 years of experience teaching Kallahs, those are brides, and training Kallah Teachers under the Center for Taharas Hamishpacha here in Israel. She's guided over 3,000 women and men towards more fulfilling marriages, addressing the lack of knowledge about intimacy that often leads to stress and tension in relationships. Gila created Heart of Marriage, Soul Satisfying Oneness to help couples revitalize their intimacy and improve Shalom Bayis, fulfillment in the Torah home, changing a duty to a meaningful connection. She offers classes, teleconferences, and courses to empower Jewish women with a Torah perspective on marriage and intimacy. And without further ado, please help me welcome Gila Levitt to the show.
Wow, Rachel, this is so nice to be here. I am so excited, and I loved your little introduction about what did you say about self-discovery meets what is it? What did you say?
The adventure of entrepreneurship.
Yes, self-discovery. That is it. That is what I have been going through, especially the past 5 years. Yes.
Okay, I can't wait for everybody to hear your story and to really get into it. Let's just start by having you share a little bit about how you got started doing the work that you do today.
Okay, so as you said, I've been speaking to women about marriage for over 20 years. Okay, really in 1990, I did like my first course on this topic. I was like married all of like 2 years or 3 years at the time. And since then I've been giving over because I am a teacher by nature. Okay. And somebody gave me something once that said, what's the point of learning something if you can't teach others? And that's exactly how I always feel. As soon as I learn something, I say, who am I going to tell this to? Who am I going to give this over to? Okay, so that's that. So I did different things. At a certain point, like in Jerusalem, where I live, and around Jerusalem, okay? In person, one-on-one, one to groups, right? But just local. And then at a certain point I don't know exactly when it was, I want to say maybe, about 15 years ago, things changed in the world. Things changed. Women got so much busier, right? And there was so much available online and so much available over the phone, and everything was free and nobody had time. And my classes went from like 150 people a week to like a handful of people in a room. And it wasn't working. It wasn't working. Right. So the first thing I did, I realized I had to pivot. I had to do something different. So the first change that I made was I realized that women are willing to spend time and energy and money when they themselves have a possibility of making more money and therefore more time and energy for themselves, right? So I created a Kallah teaching course, which means in our circles, so Jewish girls learn how all the laws around marriage before they get married. So I taught those women how to teach those girls, okay? And that was okay. That was okay, but it wasn't enough. And I realized, wow, I gotta get out there. I gotta go to this internet thing. I gotta go to this online stuff. But the problem was that I was close to 50 and I didn't even know how to write an email. Okay. I didn't know anything about anything. And we had no computer in our house ever. Okay. And I remember when somebody that was working for me told me about Facebook, like, what can I tell you? I just did not know about these things. Okay. I didn't know, but I began to learn.
I just
Can you
want to
believe
pause for a
that? You
second
could, my
because
kids cannot, Rachel, I'll just tell you, my kids are blown away by what I know how to do today. Okay. They cannot believe it. Okay. But it is possible. It is possible to
it
learn
is
something
possible.
like this. Yeah. And that is a really important thing for everybody to know. Okay.
Yeah, and
Age.
we're going to talk a little bit more about that. I've had
Okay.
the gift of being able to work with you as your mentor
Yeah.
over the last many months, and so I know just how vast your skill set is, and I'm also just so inspired by what you've done over the last number of years. And I just want to pause and like acknowledge for so many people listening, I'm sure that they're relating to going back to, 15 years ago when we used to show up in a room for a class and we had a teacher standing in front of us. And that's how we connected with people. That's how we learned. And then all of a sudden, we went behind the screen. And it feels like this happened overnight. And like we didn't have a life before we got to this point that we're in now. It's really a humongous shift as a teacher to go from being somebody who is in a classroom to moving online. So
Yeah.
tell us what happened next.
I don't know, a lot of different things, happened, but that really like I had to learn. I had to learn things. And okay, fine. Let me just think like how to jump ahead. Okay, so let me jump ahead. Okay. Let me jump ahead to when I actually pivoted from general marriage to focusing on intimacy. Okay, let me go to that. Okay, because that was also a big transition for me. I was really, really, really trying to create something that was general marriage online. And I was working on it for about a year, banging my head. At this point, I had better skills online, so I was like learning how to like create slides and things like that. Um, but it was not going. It was not going, meaning creatively wise, it was not going, meaning like my heart wise, it was not going. There was something not working. And I realized I'm not sure exactly, but I think that it wasn't unique enough to really make a difference in people's lives. And yeah, that's what I think it was. I had to really think, what can I do? What can I offer people? What do I have to give people that is more unique and that not everybody is offering? And as my experience as a Kallah teacher teaching a bride, which means that I had a certain expertise in our community around intimacy. Okay. I had gone to a lot of, what do they call, like enrichment courses with different professionals. And I am an amazing student. Okay. Not only a good teacher, but an amazing student, which means when I find somebody that I want to learn from, I learn from them. So different professionals, like different sex therapists and different like general therapists, trauma therapists, et cetera, that I met through my different courses that I took, I would be in touch with them and I would say, like, tell me more about this. Give me a book that I could read. Send me an article that I could read. And so I learned a lot about this topic, much more than what I really needed to know, like, so to speak, just like for the average woman on the street, right? Okay. But then I realized that a few different things happened, Rachel. If I could just like tell one or two things that happened, then I realized that Hashem, God, was like giving me a message over here. And I think that this is also anybody that is called to serve people, right? You all know what I'm talking about. There's a moment where you feel like, okay, this is what I am meant to do, right? And so what happened was one of the things that happened was that um, a lot of people were reaching out to me to speak to me privately, and one after the other, they were all about intimacy as opposed to communication and not really understanding and da 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 da, and just like a lot of confusion and not experiencing the connection they wanted and da 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 da. And then I was one day in a little market, in our little stores over here that we shop in, and somebody like said, you are doing a disservice to our community. I said, what are you talking about? And she like, man, like she really like almost like pushed me against the wall. And she said, people need to know about, oh, I think I had met with her like a week or two before. She said, people know, all the women, they need to hear what you have to say. You taught me so much in such a short time that I never knew before. You have to, you have an obligation to teach people. And I was like shaking, you know? But then I thought about it more and I spoke to different people and they said, yes, this is really needed. And I decided that I was going to go for it. Okay.
Yeah. I want to pause the story here before you get to after you decided. Okay, because I wish I could have like created that story and told that at some point. I talk about the power of niching all the time. And this is it right here. Okay,
Yeah.
this is the power of niching. It's also a testament to a woman stepping into her power, her potential, her passion, and the gifts that she has to uniquely serve others. And I often say to my clients, when we're talking about sales and marketing, a lot of times people get very uncomfortable. They say things like, I don't want to sell myself, or I don't feel comfortable marketing myself. And so I offer this shift, which is imagine what happens if you don't offer the thing that can change somebody's life. And that's exactly what you did. And
Yeah. Yeah.
it's sort of a funny image, funny, not so funny image of this woman like accosting you in the store. But wow, it just shows the almost the direness
Yes.
of
Yes.
and just the depth of the need that
Yes.
existed in this space.
Yes.
Okay. So you made the choice, you made the decision to go for it.
Yeah.
What's next?
Yeah. So then, like I said, there was definitely like heavenly assistance. Okay. First of all, creating was so easy. Was so easy. It was like instead of like racking my brain, what am I going to say? What am I going to do? Like I was like trying to for that whole year. It was like, what does she have to know first? This. What does she have to know next? This. It was incredible. It was incredible. Okay. Um, so getting it out there was interesting. And again, there was there was assistance from above. I somehow hooked up to a woman who had a hotline where she invited people who were speaking about this topic and other sensitive topics to religious Jewish women, and we talked. And she offered me to speak on her line for free 3 times. I said, whatever, 3 times, like a little series. And she gave me a crazy time, like Thursday afternoon at 5 o'clock p.m. Israel time, 10 o'clock a.m. New York time, because most of her people were in the New York area. Wasn't, not a great time because she didn't want to take a chance on like this new person, right? and I was a little bit nervous about what I was going to say, but I put together like a 3-part thing. And I was so excited about it. And my husband came home and I was like so thrilled. I was so excited. What's going to happen? I'm going to be speaking. He said, how much is she paying you? And I said, nothing. And he said, so what are you so happy about? I mean, I said, what do you mean that I'm going to get to speak to people? Anyway, what happened is that I had my first time. I have no idea because it's a teleconference sound. I have no idea like who was on the line or anything like that. No idea at all. And I was hoping for about 15 people. The next day I get a phone call from this woman. She called me only the next morning. I figure for sure she's going to tell me like it was a disaster and that's it. I know that we said 3 times, but da-da-da. And she said, Gila, I just want to tell you something. Do you know how many people were on the line? I said, no. And she said, we started off with 60. And by the end of the call, there was 300.
Oh,
Okay. Because what happened was people were on the phone and they were calling like their sisters, their friends, their cousins. They were saying like, you gotta get on the phone. You gotta get on the phone. And I have so much appreciation and gratitude towards this woman because she was really the one that allowed me to speak and put me on the map. Because then she offered me to do my course through her little organization and her through platform. So that's what I did.
such a
Okay.
beautiful story of women holding other women up and building other women up.
Yeah.
myself have committed a lot of my work life to doing that, to not just supporting women specifically one-on-one or in my coaching groups and things like that, but also to create communities where women know that we are all better together and that there's no threat to you becoming
Right.
your greatest self. So I love that piece of the story. I want to ask you, I know from working together that your vision for Heart of Marriage is to become a household name within this niche. And you have a goal of impacting 10,000 couples. And, as we've already heard in the last few minutes, you achieved some fast traction, some early success to growing this business in the first couple of years. And, I think I wanted to ask you, to what do you attribute that success? I think what's already come out definitely is the way that you were able to dive fully into a niche and be so specific, and also come at it from an angle that was not just needed, but was really refreshing in the communities that you serve. What else do you think contributed to that early success?
Well, listen, I know that there's people that want to say that the early success was because there wasn't other people that were talking about this, and that is part of it, because at the time there was really only one other person in our community that had a similar thing. Um, but I don't think that's fair. I don't think that's fair. I really think the reason is because I really care, and the women know that I really care, and I over deliver. And my coaches sometimes throughout the years have said, like, it's too much, it's too much, it's too much. You should like raise your price for what you give and everything. But no, no. They really hear in my voice, they hear in the way that I relate to them, that each one of them is a world unto herself. Okay. And whatever it is that she needs, or that she needs, or the group needs, in order to create something deeper, more connected, they need more knowledge, then I'm willing to give it to them. Okay. And I think that that's really, really, really a key. The other thing is that, online courses are very popular. We have, and the statistic that only 3% of people that sign up to an online course finish it. And we have consistently, because we take a feedback survey after our courses. We've been doing that almost since the beginning, almost, not quite. And we have a 70% finishing rate. Okay.
Tremendous.
Yes. Yes, it is. 70% consistently. Consistently. I just checked now. Also, before I came on, I wanted to say maybe it went down. No, 70% say they finished the course. They heard every training. They came. If they didn't come on live, they heard the recordings, et cetera. And I attribute that because I learned, I studied, I really learned and studied like how to create an online course so that people will be engaged. And so I have different feedback loops, and I give them like different challenges, and I reward them with different things. And when they give me feedback, so I do have a certain drawing, and so cool, whatever. And then they just every different, like I'm saying, there's different feedback loops where I give them more attention, give them more. They hear themselves being quoted, and
You've
they're
you've
rewarded.
gamified it. You've
Yeah,
gamified it
yeah,
on some
yeah. We game
level.
it right. That's a word.
Yeah.
Right, that's a word today. I gamified it because I learned how to gamify. And listen, the apps have people addicted to them for a reason, because they know how to gamify. We have to know how to gamify our courses and our products. I mean, those of us who are online, so that we keep people engaged. And when people, you see, God, I got this. Okay, anybody that's in this kind of space, if people go through your content, then they have the change that they want. And if they don't go through your content, they will not get the change that they want. And that's why also most of our people are referrals, are referrals. People get their sisters, their cousins, their neighbors, even though it's a very sensitive topic, they're always not sure like how to bring it up, but they usually they figure it out, because they say, this really changed a lot for me, really made a difference in my life. Maybe you want to hear her, you want to go to her, you da 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 da. Okay. And why is that? Because they themselves really experienced a change. Why is that? Because they actually went through the course.
Okay. If you are a small business owner and you're trying to figure out how to apply some of what Gila is sharing, this is a question for you to consider, to journal on. But how are you keeping your clients and your students and your program participants engaged? This is applicable to everybody. And I think, so often we talk about the marketing side, which is that outreach side of bringing people into our orbit. But once they're in there, how are we
We're
delivering?
keeping
What
them.
kind of a service are we providing? And, quite frankly, how are we just loving on them and giving them everything that they have signed up for and everything that they've come for?
Yeah, yeah, right. And I was just going to say something about the marketing also. You know, of course, like so many women, I had a really incorrect understanding of marketing, seeing it as sleazy and low, and I don't want to be salesy and this. Once I switched my understanding to marketing is helping people invest in themselves for the betterment of their life, then it was easy.
I want to repeat that. Marketing is
Yeah,
helping others invest in
invest in
themselves
themselves for the
for the
betterment
betterment of
of
their
their
life.
life. Yeah.
Okay, there's a new definition for you people. Write it
They
down.
have to they're making a decision to invest in themselves,
Yes. Yes.
right?
That's it right there.
And once I saw it like that, then that was easy too. Like writing the emails was easier, talking about it was easier, right? Because I believe it so deep that this is going to make a difference in your life, right?
Amazing. Okay. You've been in business about 5 years, and anybody who's been in business for 5 days knows that it's not all roses and sparkles. There have been challenges along the way. Can you share just a few of some of the bigger challenges that you've experienced and how you've managed to get through them to be where you are today? I think it's really important for other people to hear. It's not
Okay.
all, "Oh, I nailed my niche," I found my women who I could serve, and the marketing comes so naturally for me because I figured out how to connect with my people. Like,
Yeah.
that's all incredible,
Right.
right?
Right.
But so many people are listening to this and they're thinking to themselves, "That is not my experience,"
Okay.
or "I've hit a bump in the road."
Right. Okay. Okay. So I think that there's two bumps in the road that we have dealt with. One is that we found that our people that really resonate with our message so far, okay, have not been online. There are people that are not so technical. They're like I was like, many, many years ago. Okay. So my digital course that I set up didn't do so well. What did better was teleseminars, etc. But we also had this, so whatever. So basically, what we had to do is we had to, when I say we, this is also part of another bump in the road because I realized that I cannot do this myself. And I had to hire people and becoming a manager when I never, ever, ever worked with other people. Never, never. Let alone be a boss of other people. That was a whole other skill set that I had to learn that Rachel really, really, really helped me with and other people too along the way. Okay. Rachel, I feel like the place that I'm in now with my team and really leading a team is really only because of you. Okay. Okay.
Wow.
So that was another thing. But yeah, the technical side of it. So I saw, look at these are my people and this is their situation. So we have to definitely come towards them if we're going to serve them. And that was not easy. And it costs a lot of money, meaning we spend a lot of money on like different services that I wish we didn't have to spend on. Okay, but we do because that's what we need to do for our people. Okay, so that was like one very like big technical thing. The other thing about the team, like I'm saying, just like realizing, first of all, like realizing that I can't do it all. And when I was trying to do it all, then I was a mess. Okay. And hiring people, but not knowing exactly how to delegate to delegate to them what to do or being on top of them, like what to do, or like managing them, or especially when there was one, it was fine. But when there was like two or three, then I remember like the second person that I hired, she I mean, I fired her. She left like after a few months and she's like said, like, basically she said to me, "You don't know what you're doing." And she
Those
was
people
right.
really help us grow,
And she
don't
was, she
they?
was right. She was right. I did not know what I was doing when it came to like having people around me that I had to really learn to know what it is that I can do, what other people do, be very clear, right? To let go. I was involved in every single tiny little detail and I was miserable, and not able to be creative, which is what I love to do, right? So these were like big things. And during that time, like numbers were going down or they were like, evening out, right? And but my expenses are getting bigger because I have more of a team, right? So I had, what's my choice? What's my choice? So I'm like creating new things and we're pivoting in this way and that way, and da da da. But I can't let go of now that I've gotten used to like having a team, then this is it. And now that I know that this niche requires these and these and these services, we can't take them away. We can just improve on it or create other things for other communities, right? So I hope that was helpful.
This is really good. There are a bunch of lessons in here. I mean, one is to delegate when the time comes and you find yourself not enjoying your business anymore and not being able to be creative and really connect to your mission and the people that you're serving. It's time to hire, whether that's an employee or a contractor, but just to start delegating and offloading some of the parts of your business that really just don't bring you joy.
Yeah.
You also
Yeah.
spoke about meeting your clients where they are, right? If your clients aren't on TikTok, don't go to TikTok and market yourself, right? If your clients don't want to be glued to their computers or their phones, then, maybe a course that entails 25 videos is not going to be the right way to reach them. So, lesson number 2 there is to meet your clients where they are.
Yeah. Yeah. That's really, really, really important. Yeah. Yeah.
Now, Gila, I want to know what keeps you going when business doesn't deliver in the ways that you had hoped for or envisioned?
What keeps me going is my feedback. The feedback that we get is so incredible. It's just so incredible. It's like it's so moving, it's so deep. And and I just realized like, okay, even if the profits are less than they were like a few years ago, um, meaning, whatever, yeah, then but I can't stop. I can't stop this. I have to keep going. The only thing I can do is like think about other things and other ways, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But these people, I can't leave them. I can't leave them. So that's really what keeps me going over and over and over again.
That's really beautiful.
Knowing the difference that it makes in people's lives. Sometimes I know who they are. Some students in the course, students, I don't call them students, I call them participants, I call them my revitalized friends. Some of them um, are more visible than others. They're more in touch with me, right? They ask more questions, et cetera, et cetera. And others, I don't even know. I don't even know who they are, right? But what happened there, I had two cute things happen. One happened, I was in town in Jerusalem and I was like talking on the phone, and somebody overheard me and she said, "I know your voice. I've been listening to you. I've been part of the course." And she gave me this big, 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 big hug, and it was really, really cute. Okay. And another thing was somebody made a wedding like in my neighborhood and her sister came in from out of town, and I get a phone call, and this woman, I really had nothing to do with her, like, I mean, the woman that was making the wedding, I didn't know, whatever, I don't know her, it's not like a close friend. I get a phone call from her. She said, "My sister is here and she says that she must meet you, can she come over, blah blah blah, blah." And I said, "Sure." And again, I opened up the door and she says, "I was in your class," and she starts like crying, and she gives me like this big hug. She said, "You just don't know what you did for my life." Like, how can I let go of that? How can I abandon these women? Right?
Wow. Wow. That's the
Yeah.
impact that we talk about
Yeah.
here at Real Impact My Business and on the show. It's
Yeah.
really beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. One of the things that I've heard you say is business development is self-development. And you've talked in the last few minutes about some of the skills you've developed, but in what other ways have you grown in the last, 5 to 10 years as you've been on this entrepreneurial journey?
Um, well, I think the biggest thing is being learning new skills and being open to learning new skills. Like if you have this thing like, I can't do this, I'm not techie, I can't do this. Okay. No, no. I say like, how can I do this? Maybe I can. Let me just put my head to it, really focus for a half an hour, see where I get, right? Like I learned how to do those kind of things. Now, in the end, I see like, there's things I know how to do, but I don't love doing them. So that's fine. So I'll delegate them, right? But it's very different than like don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. So that was like one thing. The other thing was in terms of leadership. In terms of leadership, in terms of like, I'm a people pleaser and I want everybody to be on my side. And I want everybody, I want, yeah. And how do I get people to be on my side is by like, just like agreeing with everything that they say and doing what they want. And that's not going to work. That's not going to work if this is going to grow. So I had to learn how to be real with myself, set limits with other people. It was not easy. It was not easy. The other thing is just even socially, like somebody reached out to me once, she wanted me to come to this, that, and the other thing. And I said, listen, like I am really careful now with who I spend time with and how I spend my time because I have to protect myself, my time, my brain space, right? And these are like, so set, knowing who I am, knowing what I can do, being open to learning more things at the same time, like also setting limits for myself in terms of like where it is that I'm going to spend my energy. Cause you can't spend it, or you can't like, right. We always say, you say yes to this, you say no to something else. So I'm really careful what I say yes to because I want to say yes more than anything to myself, my development, my people. So doing that means that I have to say no to other things. Okay. You don't like it? I'm really sorry. And this is also something else, Rachel, maybe it's an important point because at my age, I'm 62. Okay. At my age, a lot of women are like slowing down. Okay. Right? They're like thinking about like retiring from what they've been doing, da 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 da, or whatever, you know, they're in a place of more slowing down. And that's not where I am at all. So I was once with a group of women and they were talking about different things. They're all around my age and we're talking about like different ways that they spend their time. And I had like no way to contribute to that conversation. I just basically left because I'm in a different place. But that can be lonely too, because you don't feel like everybody understands you. You don't feel like you really connect to people, right? But I just keep coming back to what it is that I really want to do and what I'm really here for. And that's what gets me through. And I think I'm in a, like, I feel like a totally different person than I was a few years ago.
It
Yeah.
has been such an honor and a joy for me to also watch your transformation and your growth over the last number of months as we've worked together. And I think it's probably been, I don't know, maybe close to a year now, maybe
Yeah.
a little
Yeah.
bit
Close
less.
to a year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and and I know that you are just on your way to those 10,000 couples. And I
Mm.
imagine what becomes possible in our world when 10,000 couples have deeper levels of connection and respect and intimacy between them. So
Yeah.
thank you for the work you're doing.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for the work that you're doing that's empowering us to do what it is that we really would like to do in this world. So really you have a big, big part of this, Rachel.
Thank you. I want to end with one question that I ask all of my guests,
Okay.
and I want to put a spin on it with you, which is what is one tip that you have for women over 50 building businesses for the first time and striving to honor their authentic voice?
the first thing that comes to my head is don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. And don't let your old stories hold you back. Still learning thought stopping. I had to do that a lot when I would, whatever. When I hear these like really negative things in my head, I just say, I'm not going there. Just not going there. You know,
So perfect.
50, yeah, 50 is young.
I mean, at 62, you are practically just getting started. You have so much more impact to make and life and energy and creativity in you for this business. Um and so
Ah,
thank you for inspiring others who are on that journey and really helping them to see that, yeah, it's absolutely never too late to start.
yeah. And you know what else? One more thing, and that age is an advantage. And yeah. And once I also was also like, I had that thing too, like, da, 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 my age and da, 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 and my wrinkles and da, 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 thing. But it's an advantage. You can't take away life experience. And it's not something like life experience you can't learn in a university, in a college, or in a course. It's only you. So that's what you are bringing to your business.
So, so true. All right, Gila, that is a wrap for today's
Right.
episode. I want to just thank you so much for being here, for sharing your wisdom and your experiences so authentically and honestly, and the joys and the hardships and just the entire gamut of the journey. And I will, of course, link in the show notes ways that people can contact you and learn more about your programs. And to our listeners, I want to remind you that I am hosting the Client Attraction Blueprint webinar coming up in the next day. So if you haven't yet signed up and you are looking to learn some strategies to attract your clients, to call them in without hustling, without being salesy, in ways that really feel natural, like Gila was sharing here today, I want to invite you to join me at this free webinar. The link is in the show notes. And of course, if this episode struck a chord or generated any sort of insight for you, I'd love to hear from you, for you to capture it, share it with a friend, and please take a moment to subscribe so that you don't miss future episodes. And with that, keep sharing your voice.